even in our own lives, sometimes we as householders, how you say, we plug one part of the dam in other parts.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So after sooner or while you run out of all fingers. You got all fingers in the wall and it's still leaking.
Amen.
And homeowners, you try your best to keep this under wraps, that under wraps, bills in check, but it's always going to be a disruption somewhere along the line. And even spiritually, so things are disrupted. And because we live in this world that is corrupt. And these things that come upon us, we spiritually have to be ready to speak to our storm. And as these things come upon us, I know the children are going back to school, and we try out and teach all of our children to get the best education you can. And do the best you can. And we don't pressure them to try to be the A student, but try to do the best you can. And then the problem the class that you have trouble in, we ask that you focus more on that one. That you get that grade up. And sometimes that's what we do. So even as children and as students, we got to speak to the storms that arise in our life. And a lot of things we got to understand, there's a lot of negative things out there for women and children. They speak to you and they say, well, women not good at math. But we find out there's a lot of mathematical geniuses in women. And they speak to you, oh no, well you're going to always have trouble. You can do better just being writing poetry and stuff. Somebody might be a mechanic.
All right.
So when we speak to these things that they try to shun you from doing. We used to go to the guidance counselor, and the first thing they used to tell you in school, in high school, they said, well, you better find you a manufacturing job. You're not good enough to go to college. And all these things they try to shelter you from. And I always speak to them, that's always the storm of negativity. That's always cast on us. And people say, well, where you come from, you're really not allowed to see Harvard come out of that situation. But you know what? That don't mean Harvard can't come out of it. That means that somebody's just speaking negative to your storm. And so we have to do these things according as God has given us. And God told us to speak to the storm.
Yes, he did.
As spiritually, so we seen Jesus, he was asleep. And you said, well, what was Jesus asleep? Because he wasn't worried. Sometimes, you know, it was us, but we found out that it was not only Jesus in a boat. In the New Transcription say boat, you know, because I found out, you know, that folks who deal with Navy folks, you better not call that ship no boat. The boat is a small vessel. A ship is a big vessel. A ship could have about 4 or 5 football fields on it. So when you say ship, you better make sure you know what you're talking about. So they was in small boats. I think at one time they said the boats was almost full with water. It looked like they was going the wind and the waves and the whipped up, so they said, wait a minute. And you know, they was wondering how in the world was Jesus still sleeping and they about to be lost.
All right now.
Master, carest thou not that we finna perish? That's what it should say. Or teacher, help us here. Jesus got up and the first thing he did was rebuke. What? So he rebuked the sea and rebuked the wind. So we have to rebuke things. Spiritually so. You know, sometimes we get bad news. You get folks to tell you that you can't do this, that it look like this can't happen. The way we going, it look like we're not going to make it. Financially, we're not going to get the thing we're looking for. You rebuke that spirit. That's why I always tell folks, you stay away from negative-minded people because that negative mind going to be in you. Oh, I tell you, we have a fellow on the job. Every time you ask him, say, such and such, we do such a thing. He said, oh, no, the post office, they don't going to do nothing right. And then I said, okay, let me help you out here. And I called him James. James, go down to the end of this line. Because I don't need your negativeness up here while I'm trying to do my positive job. You go down to the line down there. And they say, well, James, I said, don't ask James what he think about the post office because it's going to be negative. He can't be positive. I said, don't do it because some folks says anything you do, it be negative. They say, well, you know, I want to paint my house white to be negative. No, you should paint it brown. Oh, what's it doing? Some folks, everything you try to do, say, well, I get another car, it just costs too much. Everything you try to do, well, I think we need to, I'll cut my grass a different design. Oh, that design to take too long. Everything's going to be negative. You ever seen negative people? They always tell you can't do it. They say, well, you just not physically built for that. But there's a lot of folk that's physically built to do the job can't do the job.
That's true.
You know, see some folk that, because what happened? What happened with Saul and David? Saul looked like the king. High above everybody else. Stood taller than anybody else. Good, gallant, strong man. This is it. This is the king. God said, I gave him a king. They look like a king. That's what they want. They want a king that looked like a king. But he wasn't the king. Because he couldn't follow instructions. God knew it too. When he said, he said, I'm going to give you what you want. Then I'm going to find to give you what you need. And sometimes that's what it is. You know, folks will look like they can do it. It ain't what it ain't the one. So we have to speak to the storms of our situation, our economical problems that come on us, and they tell you can't get it out. It's a way out of everything. So Lord, you have to speak to that storm. And so he's reading in Ephesians 3 and 19. Somebody read for me.
And to know the love of Christ,
To know the love of Christ,
which passes knowledge, that ye might be filled with all the fullness of God.
Read 20.
Now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above that we ask or think.
So the first
According to
warfare.
the power that worketh in us.
Thank you. Our first point of warfare is the fact that we got to know that God has all power.
Yes.
And has all knowledge. According to the power that worketh in us. And it's according to the knowledge of God. So the people that was on the boat with Jesus only knew one thing, that this storm that we have will destroy us.
Yes.